I have 106 witnesses that can vouch for me that yes, my deck does hit masters. Without further ado, I'm now gonna explain you guys the deck and how I made it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Today I'm gonna explain a new homebrewed deck that I made. The deck is called Hara's Goddamn Birds. It's a curse deck with a lot of flyers. I will now show you guys all the cards. And I will tell you about the different important things you have to pay attention to when you play this deck. So this deck, how can you say it? This deck is more of a mid-late control deck. So yes, the deck is basically made around the Archgryffyn Patriarch. Once I saw the card appearing in the expansion, I immediately thought, damn, I'm gonna make a deck with this card. It's a pretty solid 4/4 for 5 mana. It has flying, it has endurance, so it's resistant against permafrost. So that's a really good thing to have. And it draws a lot of cards, especially if you start casting curses from 2 mana, maybe 1 mana. It really depends a little bit on which curses you wanna use. So this is the main engine draw of the deck. The support engine draw is Sodi, because I do play a lot of flyers. And with the flyers you can hit the opponent a little bit more easily. And you can trigger the onslaught of Sodi also pretty easily this way. The TT was more of an experiment. My deck creates a lot of green. So you will be able to play TT pretty easily. And it also produces a curse and again more card draw. So in the card draw department you are well covered. It's pretty efficient and pretty easy to get a lot of cards. The palace is just, I do like the palace a lot because it has a lot of value. You can draw cards, but mostly you use it to break the permafrost with withstand. And you can combine it, for example, the withstand with the birds. I will come to the birds in a second. And the berserk is a very good finishing option. If you have a lot of flyers and you go berserk, there's a really high chance that you can finish off the job, or at least put the opponent into a very low health state. The Mognati is more of was a little bit of an experiment. It was more of a hit or miss. You can definitely change this card to something else late game, but it has to be something that's dominating, you know? It has to be a finishing move, because this deck doesn't really have a lot of real finishing moves. It's not like you play a Sindel or something like that, but definitely you can trade this card for something else that has finishing power. That is for the drawing part. The other part is of course the curses. The Archgryffyn Patriarch has a lot of interaction with the curses. So how more curses you play, how more cards you get. That's an important thing to remember. The Honor of Claws is just a very supportive card draw. 2 is perfect. Sometimes you really need to draw and you get them, and most of the times you don't need them, so you don't get them. So this is really, in my opinion, from my own experience, a very good amount of Honor of Claws. Let's focus more now on the curses. So, one of the curses I'm really happy about is the Conscience. The Conscience in this deck does wonders. It's very good against early aggro. It can kill a big creature while you have a little creature. It has a lot of very different uses, and it's a curse, so it benefits the deck pretty well. The Permafrost, everybody knows Permafrost. Permafrost is just a really amazing card to disable any entomb possibilities and just disable a creature. Then you can go past the creature and hit the face with it. So it's overall a very solid card. I will first go over the curses. So Wanted Poster is also a very good card, but only a very good card in combination with the Felrock Choice. That's basically the only reason I have it in my deck, to be honest. Sometimes it brings some more cards, but overall, if you see the Felrock's Choice, then you want the Poster. If you see the Wanted Poster, you want the Felrock's Choice. That's basically just the gist of it. The other curses, let's see. The other curses is Avigraft. Avigraft is a really good curse as long as the opponent doesn't have a shield. For the rest, it just removes anything. The good thing about Avigraft is, for example, the counter against. So Avigraft is the counter against Rust, in my opinion. Because it prevents the giant coming back. And it prevents playing other giants also. So the Forbidden Rider is also, I love this card. It is very good against aggro, it nullifies any threat, and it has a curse on it. Even better, if the board is empty and you play this creature, you will create a curse on the opponent. And every time there is no damage dealt, he gets 1 HP off and you get 1 armor. So if you get the armor, that's really good in combination, for example, with a weapon, which I have in the market. Some really good things to have, for example, one of my favorite cards is the Acquisitive Crow. The Acquisitive Crow, I really like it. Why? Because even though there is the possibility that the opponent has a torch or something to remove the crow, the risk-reward factor is enormous. If the opponent cannot remove the crow, there is a very high chance that you will win. Because the value that the crow gives is just insane. It's just insane. Every time the crow attacks, you get a random 1-cost spell. And you would say like, oh, a 1-cost spell, that doesn't matter. In Eternal, it matters. Because there are very powerful legendary 1-cost cards, and also a lot of damaging fast spells 1-cost cards. In general, I would say 80%, maybe more, of the 1-cost cards are very functional in battle, and you will be very happy to have them. Check out my gameplay video about this deck. I did some amazing comebacks. Thanks to the crows. I still have to give them my spaghetti. I promised them spaghetti. To go further, some of the other amazing supportive units was the Street Urchin. The Street Urchin is very cheap, so you can play it early game. It's also very good against aggro. If you are mana screwed for 3 mana and you need a 4th one and you don't get it, you can activate the ability of Street Urchin to steal a card from the opponent to get a possible power. That chance is pretty real. It's pretty real to get a power at that point. And it's also, of course, very good for popping shields. It's very good overall. It's a very powerful card. It's also, together with the Crow, Street Urchin is definitely one of my most favorite cards of all time. They're just really fun cards. I like fun cards. So we had the supportive units, we had the card draw engine, we had the curses. Now I go to the cards that connect the curses basically with each other, because they do have a lot of synergy together. How I use the Pulver's Choice is mostly in the beginning of the game. If I get a Pulver's Choice and I'm almost mana screwed, for example, I will always use this. Always. Why? Because if you pull out a curse, with this thing you can pull out a curse, but only a curse that you haven't played yet. only a curse that you haven't played yet on the enemy. It doesn't matter if they are in your hand, as long as you didn't play it, you can pull it from the deck. Meaning, I only have one wanted poster, I only have one inflict conscience, one of these, one of the wanted poster, and one heavy graft, and of course there are 4 permafrost, so you can pull. You have the choice between 4 possibilities. Remember those 4 possibilities. Remember, it's only 4 possibilities. But those 4 possibilities, you have to remember them. You have to know when to use them, in what scenario, and then you can just pull them out. So that's a very crucial part of this deck. And you just practice it. You just practice doing it. And in some time you will get a feel for it. So that's for the Powerless Choice. Oh, it's also the fact of Powerless Choice is you can use it in pulling the curses out. Like that's more of a defensive option. More of a, yeah, just pulling the curses out. But you can also use it in a very defensive option in creating a shield. The +1/+1 is okay, it's nothing special, but I only really care about it because of the shield. Powerless Choice is one of the few really cheap protective cards that can give, as a fast spell, a unit a shield and +1/+1. This is very important because you can easily counter any kind of removal. So definitely, if you have a bird or a street urchin or whatever on the board, and you have the Powerless Choice, then you have to consider, do I want to defend the creature, or do I want to get a curse? That's something you will learn by experience, by playing this deck. So that's just something you will train yourself in to make that decision on the correct time. After that one, we go to Felrog's Choice. Felrog's Choice is pretty much one of my favorite cards also, because it's very versatile. You can use it very defensively, but you can also use it very offensively. Defensively, you can use it very easily in negating an enemy spell. Negating, it doesn't matter if it's a fast spell or a slow spell, you steal it. And that's very important with some creatures or some spells. I'm not gonna tell you any names, Andra. But for the rest, a very good card. You just can't negate the spell, you steal the spell and you play it from your side of the field. This can also really be game changing. For the rest of this card, I think I mentioned everything. Oh yes, and you can also use this Felrog's Choice as a removal spell. So basically you use a curse on the opponent, and basically you just kill it. You just outright kill it, and even better, you get the curse back. So you can then reuse the curse. You will be using this card especially on Permafrost. Which one else? On Permafrost, on a wanted poster, and that's it, I think. Those are the most familiar ones. Yeah. Those are the familiar ones. Definitely try to have those combinations in your hand in some way or form. That's also a pretty important part of the deck. Problem that I had with this deck was mostly the balance between I was pulling a lot of power or I was pulling a lot of creatures. So I had to balance it a little bit. The Seek Answers really helps with that. It really balances the deck quite well. So if you need an answer for power, you can choose for that. Or if you need an answer for a non-power card, you can choose for that one. So overall, this card helped me quite a bit. Definitely worth trying out. Yes, oh yeah, now of course then we go to the market. I have 6 markets. There's a good reason for that. 6 markets improves your chance of getting a possible solution for a certain scenario on the board. And I will go to the marked options in a second. Let's see, I think I mentioned everything about this deck. So now we go to the market. The market is very specific. I pretty much use every single card in here multiple times. The gavel is pretty obvious. The gavel is used to negate any void control or whatsoever. It's very good against so many decks. For 1 mana it can shut down a complete deck. If the deck is only, for example, for rezzing creatures from the void, gavel for 1 mana just shuts that down. It's very efficient, it's very cheap, it's very good. The next one is the electrostatic distortion. This one is basically, to be very honest, you can change that from the moment Andra will be nerfed. For the people who don't know yet, Andra is the most broken card at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it was a mistake. You know, people make mistakes, it happens, you know. Don't worry about it, she will get nerfed to death in a couple of hours, I think, from making this video. So don't worry about it. You can then, once Andra is nerfed, you can change this card for something of your liking. The next one is a very good card. I really like it a lot. I use it mostly for the mana fixing abilities on the turn 4. I use it for the mana fixing on turn 4, but I also use it quite often to disable a card or to remove a card from the opponent's hand. If I know he's a spell deck or something similar, or he has weapons in his hand, I will play the Regan Tomb to remove that weapon. Just be careful, always think about, can I protect this site? If you cannot protect the site, decide if it's worth the risk, if it's worth using only 1 spell of the deck, of the site. Else, always be sure that you protect this site. It's not the hardest thing in the world, because if you have a permafrost or flying creature, it's relative easy to protect this site. Then we go to the harsh rule. It's harsh rule. What can I say? It ruffle stomps every creature on the board, except of course shields. And it's a very good card in the market. Why? Because people nowadays get cocky. They overplay their creatures on the board and they think nobody is playing harsh rule anymore, and then they're crying because the whole board is dead. So definitely keep the harsh rule in the market. It's a nice surprise and you will use it far more often than you would think. Next one is the knife. The Stormhold knife is an amazing card for the market, especially just as a last. When you are like 10 life, when you have 10 life, this Stormhold knife is free. So basically you get a 5/5 for 0 mana. Yeah, as a last resort. Thank you. So this thing is amazing for a comeback factor. If the opponent doesn't expect it, it can easily kill 2 creatures for 0 mana basically. So that's a really easy way to come back. It's also a really good way to get life. It's not really life, it's armor. But if you are against the clock or against an ultra aggressive deck, that 5 armor can save your life. So with that being said, I did think I covered all the possible options in the market. I'm pretty sure I also definitely talked about all the cards in the deck. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you will be enjoying Hara's goddamn birds. Let me know in the comments down below if you like this deck and if you hit master with it, or maybe just diamond, or when you're just maybe starting out. Let me know. I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Definitely check out, this was the information for the deck. Definitely check out the gameplay video I gonna upload my road from Diamond 1 to Master with this deck, and definitely check it on YouTube. If you're interested and you wanna know some more information about the deck, while I'm playing the game, while I'm playing this deck, I will be talking about different scenarios, how I use the deck, why I use certain cards. So it's definitely a very good video to watch to get more insight into this deck. With that being said, my name is Haradeas. Please check me on YouTube, Twitch and Twitter. And I will see you guys next time.